Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! The lifeless gym reverberated with the sound of iron meeting steel as Matthew cautiously eased the barbell onto its rack, avoiding the loud clatter he despised. A sense of ennui lingered in the air, mirrored in the reflection of the floor-to-ceiling windows. There, he saw the familiar silhouette of his broad frame and sculpted muscles, exuding an image he thought was once captivating, but now found vapid. He wiped the perspiration from his brow, its saltiness a disappointing reminder of his waning passion for powerlifting. With a deep exhale, Matthew acknowledged the fading thrill of the weights, realizing it had become a mundane ritual. A longing for something invigorating and novel grew within him. The crisp autumn air hit his face, a stark contrast to the stuffy warmth of the weight room. As he walked home, his eyes wandered to a flyer taped to a lamppost. "Adult ballet classes! All levels welcome!" it proclaimed in flowing script. Matthew snorted, ready to dismiss the idea outright. But something made him pause, his fingers hovering over the tear-off information strip. What if... He shook his head, chuckling at the absurdity. Him, in tights and slippers? Ridiculous. And yet, that night, sleep eluded him. Images of graceful dancers pirouetted through his mind, their movements a far cry from the brute force he was accustomed to. By morning, a decision had crystallized. It was time for a change, one that would shake him to his very core. The next few weeks passed in a whirlwind of appointments and preparations. Matthew emerged as Maya, her exterior transformed, but her inner strength undiminished. She stared at her reflection, marveling at the softness that now coexisted with her powerful frame. The black hair remained, now falling in gentle waves past her shoulders. Maya took a deep breath, smoothing down the burgundy leotard she'd purchased for her first class. It felt strange against her skin, simultaneously constricting and freeing. She slipped on a pair of black warm-up pants and headed out the door, her heart pounding with a mix of excitement and trepidation. The dance studio was nothing like the gyms she was used to. Soft classical music drifted through the air, and the wooden floors gleamed under the warm lighting. Maya felt decidedly out of place as she entered, surrounded by lithe figures in various states of warm-up. "First time?" a kind voice asked. Maya turned to see an older woman with a serene smile. "I'm Madame Isabel. Welcome to our little sanctuary." Maya nodded, her throat suddenly dry. "I'm Maya. I used to be." Madame Isabel's eyes twinkled with understanding. "We all start somewhere, my dear. Here, we focus on the journey ahead, not the path behind. Now, let's get you to the bar." The next hour was a humbling experience. Maya's powerful muscles, honed for years of heavy lifting, struggled with the precise, controlled movements of ballet. Her body, once a finely tuned machine for raw strength, now felt clumsy and uncooperative. "Soften your arms, Maya," Madame Isabel instructed gently. "Ballet is about finding the balance between strength and grace." Maya gritted her teeth, frustrated by her lack of progress. But as the class wore on, she began to feel something. A whisper of elegance in a particularly smooth plie, a flicker of poise as she held a position. It was maddening and exhilarating all at once. As the weeks passed, Maya threw herself into her new pursuit with the same intensity she'd once reserved for powerlifting. She practiced relentlessly, stretching and conditioning her body in ways she never had before. The burgundy leotard became a second skin, her powerful legs learning to extend with newfound grace. One day, as Maya executed a particularly challenging combination, she caught a glimpse of herself in the mirror. For a brief moment, strength and elegance merged, creating something entirely new. It was as if her past and present selves had finally found harmony. "Remarkable," Madame Isabel murmured, watching Maya with keen interest. "You bring something unique to your dancing, Maya. A power that most dancers spend years trying to cultivate." Maya blushed, unused to praise in this new world she'd entered. "I still feel so awkward sometimes." "That's because you're trying to fit yourself into a mold that wasn't made for you," Madame Isabel said thoughtfully. "Perhaps it's time to create your own." Those words sparked something in Maya. She began to experiment, blending the raw power of her lifting background with the refined techniques of ballet. It was unorthodox, sometimes bordering on the absurd, but it felt right. Maya's days took on a new rhythm. Mornings were spent at the bar, refining her technique. Afternoons were dedicated to choreography, pushing the boundaries of what her unique physique could accomplish. Evenings found her poring over videos of various dance styles, searching for inspiration. Her first attempts at creating her own routines were clumsy, a mishmash of disjointed movements. But slowly, surely, something began to take shape. Maya learned to use her strength not just for explosive leaps, but for impossibly slow, controlled descents. Her muscular arms, once a source of self-consciousness in the delicate world of ballet, became a tool for creating striking lines and unconventional lifts. Word began to spread about the powerlifter-turned-ballerina who was redefining the art form. Other dancers, initially skeptical, started to take notice. Maya found herself fielding questions after class, demonstrating how she incorporated her strength into traditional moves. "It's like, imagine you're trying to lift a barbell but in slow motion," she explained to a group of fascinated classmates. "You have to engage every muscle, find that perfect balance between power and control." As Maya's confidence grew, so did her ambition. She began to dream of showcasing her unique style to a wider audience. The opportunity came sooner than she expected, in the form of an upcoming student showcase. "I want you to choreograph your own piece," Madame Isabel announced one day after class. "Something that truly represents your journey." Maya's heart raced at the prospect. This was her chance to prove that she belonged in this world, that her unconventional path had value. She threw herself into the preparation, spending countless hours refining every movement, every transition. The night of the showcase arrived, and Maya stood backstage, a bundle of nerves. Her black hair was pulled back into a severe bun, her face transformed by stage makeup. She wore a custom-designed burgundy costume, one that accentuated both her muscular frame and her newfound grace. "Next up," the announcer's voice boomed, "please welcome Maya, performing an original piece titled Metamorphosis." Maya took a deep breath and stepped onto the stage. The lights blinded her momentarily, but as the first notes of music filled the air, everything else faded away. She began to move, her body telling the story of her transformation. The routine started with powerful, almost aggressive movements, reminiscent of her powerlifting days. Slowly, these gave way to more traditional ballet elements, but always with an undercurrent of raw strength. As the music swelled, Maya's dancing became a true fusion of styles, neither purely ballet nor purely athletic, but something entirely new. She executed a series of turns that showcased both her technical skill and her unique power, ending in a breathtaking lift that had the audience gasping. The final pose was a study in contrasts, one arm extended in a perfect balletic line, the other flexed to display her impressive musculature. For a moment after the music ended, there was silence. Then the theater erupted in applause. Maya's chest heaved as she bowed, tears of joy and relief streaming down her face. She had done it. She had found her place. As she left the stage, she was mobbed by fellow dancers and audience members alike. Amidst the chaos, Madame Isabel approached, her eyes shining with pride. "My dear," she said, embracing Maya, "you've not only found your voice, you've created a whole new language." In the weeks that followed, Maya's life changed dramatically. Videos of her performance went viral, attracting attention from dance companies and choreographers around the world. She received invitations to guest teach at prestigious academies, sharing her unique approach with eager students. But more than the external success, it was the internal transformation that Maya cherished most. She had discovered a way to honor both her past and her present, to embrace all aspects of herself. The journey from Matthew to Maya, from powerlifter to dancer, had been challenging, but it had led her to a place of true authenticity. 1 year after her first ballet class, Maya stood before a group of students, a mix of traditional dancers and athletic types, curious about her hybrid style. She wore her signature burgundy leotard, her black hair now styled in a sleek ponytail. "Welcome," she said, her voice strong and confident. "Today, we're going to explore the intersection of power and grace. But first, I want you all to know that wherever you're coming from, whatever your background, whatever your body type, there's a place for you in dance. It's not about fitting into someone else's mold. It's about creating your own." As she began to demonstrate the first combination, Maya caught her reflection in the mirror. The person looking back at her was neither Matthew nor the Maya she had initially tried to be. This was someone new, someone who had taken the best of both worlds and forged her own path. The music started, and Maya began to move, leading her students on a journey of discovery. With each step, each turn, each powerful yet graceful movement, she reaffirmed the truth she had discovered. That true artistry comes not from conformity, but from embracing one's unique gifts and experiences. As the class progressed, Maya noticed a particularly struggling student, a muscular young woman who seemed frustrated by the delicate movements of ballet. Recognizing a kindred spirit, Maya approached her during a break. "Having trouble?" she asked, gently. The student nodded, her face flushed with exertion and embarrassment. "I feel like a bull in a china shop," she admitted. "Maybe I'm just not cut out for this." Maya smiled, remembering her own early struggles. "I felt the same way when I started," she confided. "But here's the thing. Your strength isn't a hindrance. It's an asset. We just need to figure out how to use it." She guided the student through a series of movements, showing her how to channel her power into controlled, deliberate actions. "Think of it like this," Maya explained. "In weightlifting, you have to maintain perfect form throughout the entire lift, right? Apply that same principle here. Every movement, from your fingertips to your toes, should be intentional and controlled." As the student began to grasp the concept, her movements transformed. What had been awkward and forced became powerful and precise. The look of wonder on her face as she successfully completed a complex combination reminded Maya of her own breakthrough moments. "See?" Maya said, beaming with pride. "You're not just doing ballet, you're redefining it, making it your own." The rest of the class watched in amazement as the students' performance evolved before their eyes. Inspired, they began to experiment with their own movements, each finding ways to incorporate their unique strengths into the choreography. As the class came to an end, there was a palpable sense of excitement in the air. Students lingered, chatting animatedly about the new possibilities they'd discovered. Maya overheard snippets of conversation, a former gymnast discussing how she could incorporate her acrobatic skills, a yoga enthusiast exploring how to blend fluid transitions into ballet combinations. Madame Isabelle, who had been observing from the back of the room, approached Maya with a warm smile. "You've started quite a revolution, my dear," she said, gesturing to the energized students. "I dare say you've opened up a whole new world of possibilities for dance." Maya felt a surge of emotion at her mentor's words. "I couldn't have done it without you," she said softly. "You saw potential in me when I couldn't see it myself." Madame Isabelle squeezed her hand affectionately. "I merely provided the space. You, my dear, did the hard work of discovering who you truly are." As the last of the students filed out, Maya began to gather her things. Her eyes fell on a framed photo on her desk, a split image of Matthew mid-lift and Maya mid-pirouette. She traced the edges of the frame, marveling at how far she'd come. A knock at the door interrupted her reverie. She looked up to see a nervous-looking man hovering in the doorway, clutching a gym bag. "Can I help you?" Maya asked, curious. The man stepped forward, his posture a mix of determination and uncertainty. I saw your video online," he said. "The one where you talk about your journey from powerlifting to ballet. It really spoke to me." Maya nodded encouragingly, sensing there was more to come. "I've been a bodybuilder for years," he continued, his words coming faster now. "But lately, I've been feeling stuck, like there's something missing. When I saw what you've accomplished, how you've blended your strength with dance, I thought maybe... You thought maybe you could do something similar?" Maya finished for him, smiling warmly. He nodded, relief evident on his face. "Is that crazy? I mean, look at me." He gestured to his muscular frame, ill-concealed by loose-fitting clothes. Maya approached him, her eyes kind but evaluating. "What's your name?" "David," he replied. "Well, David," Maya said, "let me ask you this. When you're lifting, at the peak of a perfect rep, how does it feel?" David's eyes lit up. "It feels amazing. Like every part of my body is working in perfect harmony. Like I'm both incredibly powerful and totally in control." Maya nodded, a knowing smile on her face. "That feeling? That's what dance can give you too. It's just a different way of experiencing it." She walked over to the bar, gesturing for David to join her. "Here, let me show you something." Over the next hour, Maya guided David through some basic movements, helping him discover how to apply his bodybuilding discipline to dance. By the end of the impromptu lesson, David was sweating profusely, but grinning from ear to ear. "I had no idea," he panted, "that dance could be so intense." Maya laughed, handing him a towel. "Oh, this is just the beginning. If you're serious about exploring this, I'd be happy to work with you." David's face lit up. "Really? You'd do that?" "Of course," Maya replied. "That's what this is all about, helping people find their own path, just like I did." As David left, practically bouncing with excitement, Maya felt a profound sense of fulfillment. She had not only found her own place in the world of dance, but was now opening doors for others like her. She turned back to the mirror, studying her reflection. The powerful muscles were still there, now refined and elongated by years of dance training. Her black hair, slightly mussed from the day's exertions, framed a face that radiated confidence and joy. Maya took a deep breath, centering herself. Then, with fluid grace, she began to move. Her body flowed through a series of movements, part ballet, part strength training, wholly her own. As she danced, alone in the studio, she felt the culmination of her journey. The strength of Matthew, the grace of Maya, united in a single, powerful expression of self. The music in her head swelled to a crescendo, and Maya executed a stunning leap, her muscular legs propelling her high into the air. She landed softly, transitioning seamlessly into a series of intricate turns. Each movement was a testament to her unique journey, the power of her past fueling the artistry of her present. As she struck her final pose, Maya caught her breath, a smile playing on her lips. She had once thought that transitioning meant leaving her old self behind, but now she understood. It wasn't about becoming someone entirely new, but about integrating all parts of herself into a more authentic whole. The setting sun cast long shadows across the studio floor, reminding Maya of the passage of time. She gathered her things, her mind already buzzing with ideas for new choreography, new ways to push the boundaries of dance. As she locked up the studio, Maya paused for a moment, taking in the quiet street. A poster for an upcoming dance showcase caught her eye, her name prominently featured among a lineup of diverse performers. It was a tangible reminder of how far she'd come and the impact she was making in the dance world. Maya smiled to herself as she began her walk home. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new students eager to learn, new opportunities to explore the vast possibilities of movement. But, for now, she savored the simple joy of a body in harmony with itself. Every step, a small dance, every breath a celebration of her journey. The cool evening air brushed against her skin, and Maya found herself doing a small twirl on the sidewalk, unable to contain the joy bubbling up inside her. A passing couple smiled at her spontaneous display, and she waved, unabashed. This was who she was now, a woman unafraid to take up space, to express herself fully, to dance through life with power and grace. As she reached her apartment, Maya paused at the threshold, her hand on the doorknob. She took a moment to reflect on the day, on the lives she'd touched, on the boundaries she'd pushed. With a contented sigh, she stepped inside, ready to rest and recharge for whatever tomorrow might bring. The burgundy leotard hung neatly in her closet, a testament to the journey that had brought her here. Next to it, a pair of well-worn lifting gloves served as a reminder of where she'd started. Maya ran her fingers over both, grateful for every step of her path. As she prepared for bed, Maya caught sight of her reflection once more. The strong, graceful woman looking back at her was the embodiment of her life's work, a harmonious blend of power and elegance, of past and present, of Matthew and Maya. With a smile, she turned out the light, eager for the dance of life to continue in the morning.
Thanks for watching, my girlies! Be sure to check out Patreon for more!